Welcome again to Joe Stunner Boxing. Conor Benn fights Peter Dobson on Saturday, tomorrow. And I made a preview video and I made a video about the final press conference, but I saw an interview with Ben and Michelle Joy Phelps. Boxing Social is the channel, I think. And inevitably, the subject arose about the failed PED test and all this stuff. I'm not going to go into that part of it again. But Michelle Joy Phelps talked to Conor about his previous statements that he felt suicidal and that he was, you know, feeling so down and he thought his life was over. And Ben became very emotional. He started crying. No problem. I'm not knocking him for that. I'm not taking the piss or anything. We're all human beings. We all have emotions. That's what makes us human beings. And he talked about how he felt ashamed, even though he felt he was innocent, and he still swears blind that he's innocent. And he looked, his son. He couldn't look at his son because he felt ashamed for his son and all this sort of thing. His son's only little, and he little toddler. And Michelle Joy Phelps was very sympathetic. I think she's had her own issues. A lot of us have. I'm sure some of you have, regarding depression, suicidal tendencies, and so on. Look, I'm not belittling that at all. Not everyone who displays those concerns is playing the mental health card. No, some people genuinely do suffer these things in real life, and it's hell on earth. And some people, of course, go the whole hog and kill themselves. It's not to be belittled. It's not to be derided. Now, having said all that, something that Peter Dobson said in the final press conference, which Ben flat out denied. He said, "You're soft. You're from a millionaire's background. You're privileged." I'm paraphrasing what he said. And a lot of people, myself included, have said in the past that Ben seems, he has a certain self-entitlement about him. Now, Ben denied what Dobson said. He said, "I'm not soft. I do this because I want to do it. You do it because you have to do it. I could do a million and one other things, but I'm choosing to fight." But I think he's missed the point there, because Dobson, it seemed to me, when you talk about someone's psyche being soft, their mentality, people who have got a soft psyche, a soft mentality, can do extremely arduous, brave things, like get into a boxing ring and fight in front of TV cameras and thousands of people who are there. That's not really what being soft is. Being soft is when you don't have things your own way, in ways that you're not familiar with, that you're not trained to do, that you were not expecting, and suddenly you collapse, you capitulate, because it is unfamiliar. It is something you hadn't bargained for. It isn't something you're familiar with. Suddenly you're faced with something and it grinds you down. Now, tough people with a genuine mental toughness will be able to say, as my old nan used to say, "All right, what cannot be cured must be endured. I'm going to be tough about this. I didn't bargain for it, but I'm tough. I've got a challenge here and I'm taking it on." All right. What they won't do is, and I don't mean this disparagingly to anyone who suffered from mental health issues or suicidal tendencies, but what they probably won't do is collapse within, implode, and suddenly they're feeling suicidal, they're feeling helpless. And there may be a short period where that happens, where they feel vulnerable, they feel scared, but eventually their natural toughness, the toughness that's within them, that's been bred into them, because they're not self-entitled, they have come from a very tough background, that will bubble to the top and they'll be able to deal with it. So, for example, let's say someone's in a car wreck and they know they're going to spend the rest of their life in a wheelchair. That would, some people end up killing themselves. Others say, "Do you know what, that's the card, those are the cards I'm dealt, that's the hand I'm dealt, I'm dealing with it." All right, and yeah, they'll have that period of depression and they'll be down and they'll be wondering what the hell they're going to do and so on and so forth. But they'll crack on with it after a while, because that is their innate toughness, okay? Now, when Ben talks about you know, he's even talked about PTSD. PTSD for failing a couple of drug tests, for having his name dragged through the mud. Okay, again, if he was legitimately suicidal, maybe he has got PTSD. I don't know how you would define that. I've worked with many, many people with all sorts of mental health issues. Trust me. I've worked with drug abusers, alcoholics. You know, everyone's an individual, and yes, you shouldn't judge your trauma by someone else's. I get that bit. But I'm talking, and the purpose of this video is to talk about mental toughness, what it actually means, you know, how you define it. And Ben, it's because he is from a background where he didn't have to worry about where the next meal was coming from. He didn't have to worry about having a shirt on his back, about having a few quid in his pocket. His mum and his dad, you know, obviously, you know, they all lived in a nice house. He's got, you know, siblings and so on. It does soften you up for when all that's pulled from with under you, and suddenly you're faced with something which threatens to reduce you to nothing. Well, if you've come from nothing, you're familiar with that. So yeah, you might still fear going back there, but you'll know what it's like and you'll be able to deal with it. If you've never been there, it's a difficult thing to navigate through. And so I'm not belittling Ben. I wish him nothing but the very best. You know, he's a young lad he's got a family now. I think he's got a second kid on the way. He's got his missus. I don't have anything against Conor Benn or anyone else, any other fighter. I respect Conor Benn for getting in the ring. But what Dobson said about you're soft, I think this is more what he was talking about, you know. Do you know what I mean? It's like, you know, if you do a 12-hour day standing up in a shop, you know, serving customers who are irate about sod all, who are berating you or showing you disrespect, you do that some people do it for 30, 40 years. If you go work at a factory, you know, do the right thing, do a 10-hour, 12-hour shift every day for, again, 40 years to provide for your family, getting paid very little. If you're a nurse, you're on your feet for 16 hours, or a junior doctor who hasn't slept for God knows how long, and because you're trying to help other people. Okay, sometimes what I'm saying is it pays to count your blessings. And Conor Benn has a lot of blessings to count. Let's be honest. He's got his family. He's still fighting. He's still getting paid a lot of money. He's from a good, solid background. He's got his mum and his dad looking out for him. You know, I've keyworked people who haven't got a damn thing, haven't got a penny to their name, and they're living under a bush. I haven't got anyone in the world, right? So it's about perspective. And again, it sometimes pays to count your blessings, because sometimes when something comes out of nowhere and appears to overwhelm us, we can forget everything else. We can forget all the good stuff that exists. So I just wanted to put those thoughts out there. What do you think? You give me your opinion. What do you think about Ben? Did you watch that Michelle Joy Phelps interview? If so, what did you think? How do you think Ben came across? I think he came across okay. You know, I'm not knocking the guy. And again, I do wish him all the best. But what did you think? Yeah, comments below and I'll have a look at them and answer them. And also, of course, as always, please subscribe to the channel if you're new. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. And I'm looking forward to reading what you've got to say. Bye for now.